Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing a Plunder Patrol deck profile. So I'm really excited for this deck because this deck is an absolutely crazy deck that's reliant on what your opponent's playing against you, and it basically uses their cards against them to be able to special summon at your ships of different attributes, which is really amazing. I love the way this deck plays. It's a very unique playstyle and can summon everything from a Fusion, Izzy, Synchro, and even Link monsters, which is absolutely crazy. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can come part of notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards like getting your name description every single video, getting a signed card in the mail, and even getting your requested deck profile every single month to your patron along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Whitebeard. So Whitebeard is really good in this deck and is one of your main starters of the entire deck. It is a tuner monster and it has the ability that during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can special summon a Plunder Patrol monster from your extra deck with the same attribute as a monster your opponent controls, which is what I kind of mentioned earlier about it being able to use monsters against your opponent, because depending on what attributes they have depends on which one of the ships you get to special summon. And it also has the ability that or is in their graveyard, and if you do, you equip this card to that monster that you just special summon from the extra deck. Basically, the Plunder Patrol monster mans the helm and equips itself to the ship, which is kind of cool. It also has the ability, if this card is sent from the hand or monster zone to the graveyard, you can activate the effect to special summon another Plunder Patrol monster from the deck, and also you cannot special summon monster the rest of the turn except for Plunder Patrol monsters. We then play 3 copies of Redbeard. Redbeard is also a really good card in the deck because during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can special summon a Plunder Patrol monster from your extra deck with the same attribute as a monster your opponent controls or is in their graveyard. If you do, you equip this card to the monster that you control. And if this card is sent from your hand or monster zone to the graveyard, you can target one Plunder Patrol monster you control, except another copy of Redbeard, and equip this card to it, which is pretty good just to be able to equip it to another monster. We then play 3 copies of Bluebeard. Bluebeard is also pretty good in the deck because if you control a Plunder Patrol monster, except a copy of Bluebeard, then you can special summon this card instantly from your hand, which is great to give you an additional monster as an extender in this deck to be able to play into some really cool plays. And if this card is sent from your hand or monster zone to the graveyard, you can discard a card and draw a card. We then play 3 copies of Golden Hair, the newest Plunder Patrol, which actually isn't the newest Plunder Patrol anymore. We actually have a new Plunder Patrol monster in this deck. But Golden Hair has the ability that you can send one other Plunder Patrol card from your hand or face from your field to the graveyard and instantly special summon this card from your hand. And if this card is, if this card's in your graveyard, you can discard a card to special summon this card from your graveyard, but you can't special summon anything except for Plunder Patrol for the rest of the turn, which is totally fine by us because all we really need to go into is Plunder Patrols. We then play 3 copies of Black Eyes, the Plunder Patrol Sea Guide, which is actually technically now the newest Plunder Patrol monster, which is a really cool card. I love the way this card actually helps out the deck's consistency. So what this card does is you get to target one Plunder Patrol monster in your graveyard, except another copy of itself, and special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, you add that card back from your graveyard to your hand. And also you cannot special summon monster rest turn except Plunder Patrol, and if this card is sent from the hand or monster zone to the graveyard, you can target one Plunder Patrol monster in your spell and trap card zone and special summon in defense position. You only affect this card once per turn, which is a great extender to be able to just fix a lot of the problems that this deck actually had, which instantly comes out and becomes a 3 of in this deck because it is so good just to be able to special summon back your monsters and to be able to use them for extension plays as well. We then play 2 copies of the Multi-Dimensional Kaiju. Multi-Dimensional Kaiju is a dark monster that lets you summon Moark a little bit easier and gets rid of a couple of problematic cards, and is probably one of the easiest ones of the Kaijus to basically play through because you do play this card as a 2 of. You can just instantly summon Moark off of the copy of your Whitebeard or your Redbeard's effect. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom as well. The Ash Blossom is just basically here to stop our opponent from all sorts of shenanigans against us to be able to go into some really amazing plays in the deck. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is just basically here so we don't get hand trapped. It's a very important card in the deck because you don't want to get hand trapped in a deck like this. We then play a single copy of Terraforming. The Terraforming is to get to our field spell, which is a very important card in this deck. Play a single copy of Harpy's Feather Duster. The Harpy's Feather Duster is pretty important to be able to stop our opponent's back row. This deck does have a little bit of a problem dealing with back row, and so this card is really helpful at just stopping that. And it really kind of turns into non-problematic with all the cards we play to deal with back row, which is also 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone. The Cosmic Cyclones, you pay 1,000, you banish a spell or trap. It can help stop stuff in copies of decks like Eldritch. It can help you stop cards in like Mystic Mine. It's just an overall really good card overall to just stop all sorts of problematic cards. We then play 2 copies of Pot of Desires, because the Pot of Desires just help us dig into the deck. You play 3 of every single Plunder Patrol, so there's not a single card that if you banish it in this deck, you're going to really hurt because you did banish it. You play 3 copies of Dark Ruler No More, because you're wanting to go second in this deck because you want to have monsters on your opponent's side of the field, but then you want to negate them to be able to go into your ships, to be able to go into all sorts of really cool plays. You play 2 copies of Plunder Patrol Shipyard, Plunder Patrol Ship Shape Ships Shipping. We're not into Shipyard yet. And what this card does is basically a fusion spell to be able to fusion summon a fiend fusion monster from your extra deck, because all the ships are apparently fiends. And then you basically have the ability to fusion summon it using monster in your hand or field as fusion material, and then you can banish this card from the graveyard to target a Plunder Patrol monster you control and equip it with an emblem of the Plunder Patrol or 1 Plunder Patrol monster from your deck to that target, which is pretty good. We then play 2 copies of Emblem of the Plunder Patrol. Emblem of the Plunder Patrol is kind of neat and kind of has some really cool lore because it shows that Golden Hair is kind of the daughter of Blackbeard, which is kind of neat. I love that kind of like lore in the archetype, but it has the ability that you equip only to a Plunder Patrol monster, and it gains 500 attack, and also your opponents cannot target it with card effects, and you can send this card to the graveyard to special summon a Plunder Patrol monster from your extra deck with the same attribute as a monster on the field or in the graveyard. And as the ability, then you take that monster and equip it with this card. An equipped monster is special summoned by the effect of the spell card, gains an additional 500, which is pretty good to be able to just immediately get that effect. We then play 3 copies of Plunder Patrol Shipyard. Now we're into Shipyard, and Shipyard is one of the best cards in the entire deck. It has the ability, it's probably one of the best field spells in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because what it does is Plunder Patrol monsters you control gain an additional 500. Now that's really good right off the bat. Then it lets you discard a card to add any Plunder Patrol card from your deck to your hand, except another copy of itself. And if this card is in the graveyard, you can target 1 Plunder Patrol card in your spell and trap card zone, set this card, and if you do, return that target just to the hand. You just have to return a copy of Booty, a copy of your emblem of the Plunder Patrol to your hand, and then you basically get your Shipyard back to your side of the field. That is so good. Just to be able to get Shipyard back to the hand is just really good to be able to set this card to your field, and then bounce one of your other cards to be able to then re-equip this card to a different monster that you actually wanted equipped to. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps, which you only play, I believe, 3 traps in this entire deck, which is 3 copies of Plunder Patrol Booty. So Plunder Patrol Booty, what would a pirate be without all the booty? So what this card does, and we're not even playing Anaconda, what this card does is the Plunder Patrol Booty has the ability that you get to declare 1 attribute and then target a face-up monster your opponent controls, and it becomes that attribute until the end of the turn. And even this card leaves the field, then you can take 1 Plunder Patrol monster from your graveyard and either shuffle it in the deck or special summon it, which usually you're going to want to special summon it to your side of the field because then you can use its effect to be able to special summon out one of the ships. This card is essentially a 1-card ship because you can just activate this, target an opponent's monster, change its attribute to the ship you want, and then be able to special summon one of your Plunder Patrols from the graveyard and then target it with Whitebeard or Redbeard and then special summon out the particular ship you want, which is really cool. And then once per turn there in an end phase, if you control no Plunder Patrols, you send this card to the graveyard, which you're always going to have a Plunder Patrol. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Blackbeard. You really just need 2 copies of Blackbeard in this deck. What it does is you get to quick effect, target 1 effect monster you control, special summon 1 Plunder Patrol monster from your extra deck with the same attribute as the monster your opponent controls or in their graveyard. And if you do, you equip the targeted monster to it and then you draw a card. This card is really good to help you start building out your monsters out on your side of the field and really start building the fleet of your ships. We then play 2 copies of Plunder Patrol Lice. Lice is really good too. It's a fusion monster, but again, you don't really worry about all the effects because you're going to be able to just kind of summon them as needed. But during the main phase, quick effect, you can special summon a Plunder Patrol monster card from your hand or face from your spell and trap card zone. And your opponent cannot activate monster effects, or when your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can discard any Plunder Patrol card, negate the activation if you do destroy it. And then if this card is equipped with a Plunder Patrol monster or Plunder Patrol card, you can add a Plunder Patrol card from your deck to your hand, which is pretty good. We then play 2 copies of Brawn, which is pretty much the Brawn of the entire deck. All Fiend monsters gain 500, and then once per turn, you can discard a Plunder Patrol card, then target a spell or trap your opponent controls, and immediately banish it, which is pretty good to have your Harpy's Feather Duster and your copies of your Cosmic Cyclones in the deck as well, just to deal with all of the back row. Then you get to add a Plunder Patrol monster from your deck to your hand. And this card is a quick effect if this card is equipped with a Plunder Patrol card, which is pretty good. We then play 2 copies of Moark. Moark is also really good in this deck because you can discard a Plunder Patrol monster, or you can discard 1 Plunder Patrol card and then target an effect monster your opponent controls and banish it. And then you can add 1 Plunder Patrol spell or trap from your deck to your hand, which can be the field spell, it can be the fusion spell, it can be the Plunder Patrol, it can be the Plunder Patrol trap, it can be anything that you particularly need that's a Plunder Patrol, and it also has the ability that this is a quick effect if it's equipped with a Plunder Patrol card. You only affect this card once per turn, and if a Plunder Patrol card you control would be destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can detach a material from this card instead, which is pretty good. So basically all of your ships are very, very unique and help out the deck a lot in this particular circumstance. We then play a single copy of Alamirage, because Alamirage can help you link climb in this deck, especially with stuff like Golden Hair, to be able to link climb into a copy of, say, your Blackbeard, because you can basically normal summon Golden Hair, send her to graveyard, and then use a copy of your Black Eyes to be able to special summon it to your field, and then be able to grab that card back, and then link it away for a copy of Blackbeard to go off with your plays. But Alamirage is very needed as a one-of. We then play a single copy of Abyss Dweller. Abyss Dweller can boost up your water monsters by another 500, which the majority of your cards are water monsters in the main deck, but your ships are actually different types, which is a little bit unfortunate, but it has the ability that it also shuts down graveyards, which is really nice. 1 copy of Bahamut Shark, because it wants to summon out Totally Awesome, because that is a totally awesome play to give you additional negations on your side of the field. 1 copy of Zeus, just a board wipe, because it's really helpful. 1 copy of White Aura Whale. White Aura Whale board wipes on summon and can attack twice all monsters, and it inflicts piercing damage, which is pretty good. We then play a single copy of Adamancipator Risen Dragite, because it's one of the best synchro monsters. It's a water for this entire deck, because during your main phase you can activate the top 5 of your deck. But the really important effect of this card is that when an opponent activates a spell or trap, when you have a water monster in the graveyard, you can quick effect negate the activation if you do destroy it, which is the only effect that really matters on this card. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. It's a really fun deck to play around with. I highly recommend that you guys have not played Plunder Patrol before and you want to play something new and unique and exciting. This deck is definitely the deck for you. I really love playing Plunder Patrol and need to play it a lot more than I actually do. Like, this deck is a deck that I really love playing around with, and I play with it a lot now, but like when it didn't have any support, once it got Black Eyes, I picked up this deck and just started playing it like crazy, and it's a really fun deck. It's really, really amazing. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.